Right. Hi, everyone. This is AutoML training working group meeting on 24th of January. Um, Welcome, everyone. So do we want anyone else on this call please want to introduce himself to the community? Maybe just say hi.
Hello. Hello, so turn on my camera, sorry. It works. So I'm working on Kubeflow for the product management side in Canonical. I've been in the community for quite some time, not always very active, but I've been following what's happening and we've been contributing to it.
Great to hear, Andrea. Nice to see you again.
Hey, this is Stefano. I'll be helping as a product manager for the Kubeflow and release, and as my day job, I'm also a product manager at HPE, working on a data science platform with Kubeflow included. So,
That's okay.
Want anyone else? Carlos or Shashank, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So Carlos Costa here. I joined a few of the meetings. I don't know if you guys saw me before. From IBM Research, I lead our stack for foundational models. Kubeflow is a very important piece, and we're trying to get more involved and engage in this community. We have some ideas to bring to the table. Still kind of work on that, and so you'll be hearing more from me. But yeah, just joining to catch up and see where we're going.
See you, Carlos. Shashank, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Shashank, and I'm an CS undergrad, and I'm here to contribute. So this is my first time attending a working group meeting. Looking forward to contribute.
Welcome,
Yes.
Shashank.
Welcome. Yeah, I think it's a good time to discuss how we can attract more contributors with Andrea on this call. Yeah, just for anyone else, I'm Andre. I work at Apple, and I used to be in the community for the last almost 6 years. Mostly work on AutoML and training working group, but been involved almost all the components. Right now, leading the effort together with Jonah for LLM APIs and other things around the community. Jonah, if you want to also say something, feel free to do it.
Hi, everyone. I'm a staff at Nutanix, looking at ML systems, and I'm also part of Kubeflow for quite a long time, since its inception in 2017. Welcome, everyone. Happy to see you all. I will have to drop a little early today. Sorry about it, but again, we can meet.
Yeah. So, Jonah, since you need to drop, do you want to discuss anything specific right now before we can go to the agenda items that we have?
Yeah. So just giving an update to the community, right? Like we have regarding the new LLM API, we have that notebook ready and which is checked in. So I would like to have some help from community to test it out and provide early feedback regarding that. We are trying to get a proper data science friendly API without worrying anything about the underlying Kubernetes. So here with just parameters which are specific to the training part, rest all things are hidden entirely from the data scientist. So we would like to have early feedback regarding that, and I will try to give a demo in the next week, not this week, the week after that, and also in the Kubeflow community.
Yeah, so I think demo would be really nice, and I think it's a good time to discuss maybe alternative time for the next meeting. So because I think it's we have a meeting on for Europe and Asia friendly, right? The week after next week.
Right.
So do we want to move it back to this time, or what do you think, Jonah, for the demo? Because right now we see more attendance.
I will do that during the US time, in my opinion.
All right. Yeah, I still don't know if we need to move this alternative time to PST friendly, or maybe find another time. Maybe we can discuss offline what you can do, ask the community about the time, so maybe have a pool, right? and yeah, then maybe we will see like more attendance, right? So any of your suggestions how we can decide on a timeline and how we can ask community what is the best time for this calls to attract more people?
Are you
Do we
proposing? I
know?
didn't get if you're proposing moving this meeting or having a second, another meeting
Yeah,
next week.
so right now we have like a meeting every 2 weeks, and one meeting happening
Yeah.
this time, and another meeting happening like 11, I think 11 a.m. UTC, which is like very early for Pacific time. It's basically for Asia and Europe friendly time zone. Yeah, it's 11 a.m. UTC. Just like wondering
Okay.
if we like want to like move it back to this time, alternative time as well, right? Um, but I think we just need to like start a pool and just to see what community will, like will respond. Because on the like on right now that this time we will see much more attendance compared to alternative time zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like I will start like some, like ask community for the timing for this AutoML training calls, and then just to see how, like we will get more attendance on these calls. Yeah, so I think like
I think maybe you can send out an email in Kubeflow Discuss with a
yeah.
couple of options. Say, hey guys, you prefer A or B? It's easier to very simple poll. It's easier to get people to decide on one or the other.
Yep. Yeah, I just want to start a pool like with different time zone just to see how like
And
how many.
or maybe provide the slots that we currently have and what slots are preferable for people. So we will clearly get to know who would like to attend what. Right?
Yeah, I mean like alternatively we can like move it to 5 p.m. PST, right? For you, Jonah, like it will be fine, right? It will be earlier your time, right? Like 8 a.m., right?
5 p.m. PST would be really early for me.
Early, right? Okay. Yeah, we can sync offline, like on timelines, but I think like we need to do something with alternative time frame for this calls.
So on the LLM API demo, I think I was just catching up with some of the PRs and issues you have out there. I think it's great. I love how you're thinking about high-level user experience when it comes to APIs. So I was looking at the train API proposal markdown under the docs folder. So besides that, is there any other place where you're documenting, I don't know, some of the user experience or some of the examples, or maybe if you're documenting a potential script, like a tutorial or an end-to-end example that makes use of these APIs?
So there is a notebook which we added in the examples SDK folder in training operator that shows the usage of that.
Okay.
Let me see.
Yeah, I think it's right here. So if I quickly share my screen, yeah, so we have this notebook, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it is fully functional right now because I didn't try to run it. But eventually, yes, like this is the one API where you just basically define all the necessary parameters to do fine tuning, right? Like how many workers you want to do, like what you want to use, how many like processes per worker you want to like use. So this is basically like multi-GPU, multi-worker training, right? Because like you can use more than one GPU per worker and you can use multiple workers for training, right? Like similarly, how you define it for Torch Run if you're familiar with PyTorch, right? And then you just find your model provider, like from which kind of like registry you download your model. Then you define a dataset provider. I think like John, we support a couple of them, right? Like Hugging Face and also S3, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Yeah, and the train parameters. So this is like if you're familiar with transformers, right? You can define multiple training parameters for them, and have an image for which basically train the model based on these parameters, which user doesn't need to worry about, right? And yeah, so when a job is started, basically first of all, we download the dataset, we download the model, and then we distributed the dataset and the model across the workers using shared PVC. So we kind of like attach this PVC to every worker. And then we have a custom trainer, which actually using these parameters to train your model with custom data set and not train, fine-tune the model on using these parameters and the data set that you're providing here. Yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, this is great, by the way, guys. We're doing some tests with this on like our side at BM Research. So I'm planning to report some of our early experience there. One quick question, still looking to the code, but in terms of the training, right? Do we have plans to support things beyond the DP? Or how hard would it be for us to change the training for something like FSDP from PyTorch? So like your last parameter, last line in the training parameters here, DDP backend, right? Is this coming straight from something like PyTorch DDP, or that part is a bit fuzzy to me right at the moment?
So this one we are using the Hugging Face trainer itself. So if you are planning to have the Hugging Face as the provider, then we would be specific to that. But again, like if you actually want something else, that is completely configurable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So idea is we should be able to, with the new train API, we should be able to provide any model provider, not just Hugging Face.
Yeah.
So we are not restricting there, but again, for now, we have just added support only for Hugging Face.
Yeah, so as I said, like the trainer is like an image, right, that we pre-create for the user, right? And here we're directly using like the trainer from Hugging Face to do this. So we don't like specify where it is DDP. I guess like Hugging Face using DDP by default, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But we need to take out how this trainer works. But of course we can create like PyTorch trainer, which using FSDP rather than DDP, right? Or I remember like we have a comments from another like folks in the community to maybe use Megatron and deep speed, right? Rather than just using PyTorch, because like we can use API operator for all these things, right?
Yeah.
But I guess like yeah.
So-
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So one other thought was that we actually had, right? Like in certain places where we really need the MPI side of things, we will operate from the train API. Everything would be transparent, but underneath we will actually use MPI operator from the training side. So from a user perspective, he doesn't know what kind of job is getting submitted. A train API stands at the very high level, but underneath, based on the requirement, we will appropriately call the right set of jobs in our training operator.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. I'll provide more feedback like after we have a chance to do some experimentation. I do have one more question if you guys don't mind. In terms of like just not finding the resources, right? Or actually running these on top of a queuing system. What level of integration we have with either Volcano or Queue or something else? When it requires a resource, can I just put this like in a queue and wait until I get the resources and some way to track if the job started or no, or ideas around that?
That's a parameter that you can actually provide. Like that's in the CMD command line itself. Can you take your? I think we don't have the documentation for that. Andre, can you just go to the command line CMD, like the code itself? Sorry.
So which one? Sorry.
Yeah, and the CMD.
Oh
on the
yeah, yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
In the Docker image, right?
Wow. Okay,
No,
great.
yeah, just yes, main.go. So if you see, there is a gang scheduler.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So you
so
can actually provide that.
But okay, but what is the assumption of what is underneath this? So this is for Volcano then, or
Volcano or
yes.
the scheduler plugin support. So you could just provide the name, and then if you have the right operator, everything should work automatically because it has support for it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Very
this is
good.
parameters for the controller. So basically, you need to specify like I guess we support Volcano and schedule plugins, right? I'm not sure about Q. We need to see, Jordan, like if we implement this to support Q as well. But the operator will do the appropriate, annotation setup, right, for your jobs.
I haven't used it, but again, I think it is also part of the same interface that scheduler plugins provide. So I think it should work straight away from what I see.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for the pointers. I'll be looking to this, and again, I can comment more when we meet again next week.
Yeah, and I think we should update documentation about scaling, job scaling, right? This is pretty old, right? Yeah, so it has like the information about how you can stop this gang scheduling, right? For the controller, and then it will automatically attach for all of your jobs when you submit them, right? Like the TF job, for example, right?
Oh, it has it. Yes, yes. This is the one, right? Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's like up to date, John. Like I didn't check it yet, but yeah, take a look on this, Carlos. Let me point this to the doc. So but this should be supported, and we kind of like we testing Volcano schedule all the time, like on our CI/CD. So that should work. But all this should be hidden from the user from our perspective, right? Data scientists don't worry about like scaling,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, I
So
agree.
yeah, sure, John. Any last things, or it's fine that you can drop. So anything else you want to mention?
That's all from my side. Thank you, folks.
All
I'll
right.
catch up on the recording. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonah. Yeah, so let's take a look and let's just schedule like maybe one. So in the community call, we're gonna have one demo, and also like in these calls, we're also gonna give a demo for working notebook. But eventually, we just like want to discuss like the experience from the user. Like, is it hard to specify all these parameters? Is it the right experience, or like they want to even abstract some of these things, right? Uh, because like they need to know how all these transformers can be set up, and they need to know all these parameters, how they need to define them to start a job, basically.
So, Andre, I think presenting this at the community meeting is definitely helpful. It will probably drive a lot of discussion. I think that what could help people get a good feeling of what this is and how it is supposed to be used is to be able to reference, some documentation, some API documentation. You can think of it as if it was, customer facing documentation. How is one supposed to discover about this new feature? Like, how do you want to talk about it? How do you want to introduce it? The train API proposal, it's probably a very good place to start, and something we can iterate on. Sort of improve it towards becoming a more 101 introduction. What this is, why does it exist, how it is supposed to be used, and if that is clear enough to people, then probably it's already a good step forward.
Yeah, I think like we need to discuss like how to improve this documentation right now, right? Because like all this, like we recently created this overview page, which just explain a high level what is training operator, what kind of things we support, right? Like what is customer resources here, right? And how they can submit the simple training function using the SDK, right? So we don't have any kind of good documentation. So we have an issue to create documentation from our SDK doc string. So basically, all of this public API, they have a valid doc string, but we don't have a page where people can just read about all these public APIs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the SDK documentation definitely require. We just don't have
So
enough
you're
time.
saying we're not auto-generating the API docs. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's true. Like for
okay.
For SDK as well, we don't do it today.
Would that be a good roadmap item for Kubeflow 1.9?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we try to do it like for several releases already. I think we have an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
yeah, maybe that's a good bridge to what I wanted to discuss as well.
Yeah.
Ricardo created those two tracking issues when I linked in the notes. And so when you guys have a high level roadmap proposal, if you could link it there alongside proposed component version or anything else, concerns also on the timeline, because if you're officially starting development for the 1.9 release next week, it will mean feature freeze mid-April. So based on what you want to deliver, you can definitely say, hey guys, we need more time, or something like that we can discuss.
I think April,
we're still figuring out. Yeah.
April should be fine, and I just need to start like the separate issue now, like in KTIP and training operator, to identify the list of items for all of you, and then we will link this issue to this manifest issue where you basically ask about commerce versions.
Yeah.
Other things, right? Yeah, because like
okay.
Yeah, April definitely should be okay for us, because like from the training side, almost all the PRs, like the John and Debunker, like they already, all of them have been merged. So we just need to test this out. And we have like a few more things which we also going to deliver from 1.9 for training operator.
Yeah.
But I can just, identify all of them in the list somewhere. It's fine.
But I totally support the documentation effort. It's definitely something super valuable, and maybe I think Kubeflow Pipelines is doing it right. They're publishing the APIs to some read the docs website. Not sure if they have a standard process documented. Maybe we can recycle some of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's true. I think, if you know, Stefan, about any tools that we can use, automated tools to auto-generate, documentation based on the doc strings, because we try to, like, if you go to our, public APIs, and if you check all of them, we try to have a valid doc string for literally every, API.
Yeah, something worth trying is creating a new read the docs project, which is totally free for open source repositories. And as long as you have correct doc strings and the proper PyConfig, it should basically bring up the API docs almost seamlessly by itself.
All right.
So that could be something worth exploring. Could even take just a couple of days to set it up. And or maybe just a GitHub action to push the artifacts to read the docs, and that could do it.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I will try to explore all different things then. But like if like if we have any volunteers which could help this for us, that would be really nice. Yeah, because the documentation, I agree, we need to work on this even for KTIP, right? Because like it's not. It's kind of like explaining all the features, but it's not like, data science friendly.
Yeah. So there's a couple of people who wanted to contribute in the release team, wanted to contribute to the documentation. So we'll see what we can do with them and if they can help you guys on this.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay.
All right. So for the release things, do you have any else that you want to discuss, Stefano?
No, I think that's it. If you guys can, if basically by the community, or even sooner, if by Monday we can have those issues, so we can discuss that in the release meeting and make sure that everything is in order, that would be awesome. I know it's not too far off, but that would be ideal. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
I'm sorry, I was just like,
Okay, it's fine. Yeah, I will create the issues, so we will just identify some items on this or two of these components. That should be fine. And April timeframe, definitely it's a good thing. So feature freeze started what time again? Just remind me. It's
let's just say mid-April. We'll need to define the exact date. But it'll be around mid-April.
Okay.
We'll announce the revised schedule during the next community meeting anyway. So
yeah, that should be fine.
Okay.
Yes, I think since Andre, you also on the call, maybe we can quickly, discuss the things that we started around, like how we, help people to get onboarded on the project, right? I guess so. Just to give you the context, like we met with Andre like last time on the KubeCon in Chicago, and just we discussed like several things around. Right now, Kubeflow is a very complicated project, right? Overall, because it's if you want to contribute, you need to have experience in, in machine learning. You need to know a lot about data scientists, but also you need to learn a lot about like, DevOps part of things, right? You need to be a system engineer. In the meantime, you need to be like, ML engineer, which is very hard for people who just like, want to like do something, right? And want to explore like what is exactly Kubeflow, how it can help the community, how, like, I can at least give some value for folks and be involved in all the different working groups and just um, become familiar with the code base. And the good thing about like the project, right, it has literally all the pieces of software you could contribute. Like for example, if you just a front-end engineer, right, we have a lot of UI components you can help with us, right? If you're like a data scientist, you can literally like create some custom algorithms and also contribute it to the community, right? Because for example, in KT we have few optimization algorithms that we have like implementation, which does not require for you to understand what is Kubernetes, how all these things works, right? And you can be focused only like in data science part of aspect. And also like if you're a system engineer, right, there are a lot of things around how you can help us with like with the control plane part of things, right? And other like um systems in the project. So I think, Andrea, like maybe first of all, do you have any ideas? Like, so I have few of them. Like for example, like I can give my ideas, but do you want to like add anything from your side? How we can improve the process of onboarding? Um,
I think you see. I'll go ahead from the personas that you just mentioned. I think one opportunity or one good kickstart would be to actually define the personas. Like, if you're a data scientist, you can go through through the examples and share feedback with us. Like, as an example, you can go through the LLM project.
So okay, so I guess like you said that we need to define the personas, we need to, and also we need to say them where they can start contribute, right? So
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, as examples, like data scientists, you do that, or you can do that.
Okay,
If you are whatever front-end engineer, look at that.
all right. So do you think we should kind of like rephrase our so wait, so first of all, like right now we have a few kind of contributing guys, right? If you go to any like in training operator, for example, right? We have this kind of like contributing where is it? So yeah, development doc, right? And basically what people can do with the project, right? But we didn't kind of like phrase this doc from the persona perspective, right? Because I don't think we did it before. Uh, so you think it would be better if we kind of like split the project for the different type of people, right? And then explain
I
them
think
what they can.
so. Yeah, sorry to jump in. I think so because imagine otherwise, it's the first time you meet this project. How do you know what to do?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's a good thing. So yeah, so I think like like explaining different type of people, like how they can help us, it's a good thing. Um yeah, so in terms of how like we can explain them the project, do you have any ideas? Because like for example, I know I've been involved in the Jupyter community, right? And these guys they were doing some sort of a contributing hour when they just live coding during this kind of like community calls and work on one of the issues and try to like explain how you can like make your first PR or do some changes. um
I
but
think
do
you're
you have,
right.
yeah, go ahead.
So having like some sort of Kubeflow office hours where you can solve PRs together, or you can have some sort of getting started kind of activities could help. And then also one thing that other projects did was to have a label that is, for example, easy with issues, PRs, bugs, usually issues and bugs that others could pick up. Like basic stuff or easier stuff that it's easier to help you get familiar with.
Yeah. So we have like this kind of good first issue label, which let me try to find it on the Katip site. Yeah, I think it's called labels. Good first issue, right? So this one, right? Yeah, right now I have only one issue, but yeah, we have a few of them here. That's maybe we should mark more issues for this type of thing, right? But maybe we need to also tell people that you can take a look at the good issues. Do we have this in
Yeah.
the...
No, I think you're right. So I think that it's good that we have already the label, but is it streamlined somewhere, presented somewhere?
Yeah, so we have it here somewhere, like your first contribution, right? Find something you work on. Yeah, I think this is the good thing. Maybe we should rework to see if this have like updated information. So maybe like I'm like wondering, so Shashank, maybe you can like give your experience because I know you're kind of new to the project, but from your perspective, was it easier for you to understand like what you can work on, or maybe you struggling with something to understand the different pieces of Kubeflow?
Yeah, like starting with the good first issues is always the first thing to get started with the project. And right now, like I pinged you in Slack over the development guide issue, so I haven't figured it out yet how to set up the project. So that's also the thing.
Yeah, so when you come to the project, you basically check the README, right? And you just check the development guides, and
Yeah.
when then you just try to like go through the steps, right? Yeah. And I guess like we definitely if like this Go problem just doesn't work, we need to update it, and it's like our issue there. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, a little bit about the directory structure can also help new developers understand the code base more quickly.
Mhm.
Like a little descriptions about the different directories and the functions.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. So basically, you want to say like we have a section where we're explaining this is controller, right? This is SDK. This is like UI, for example, if we have a UI, right? And you can like go through
Yeah,
all. Yeah, I think it's a good point, and it's very easy to do. So updates.
I think overall for the training operator, it'd be nice to have some sort of like architecture diagram like kind of in your face at the README level itself.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, you kind of have to dig through and try to find some of that information.
Mhm. Yeah, architecture, yes, because we have this kind of high level architecture where just explaining, you know, what is training operator, what kind of main features, and what we have inside, but we don't have like, because the problem is like, yeah, I think it makes sense to have the architecture diagram similar to, because I remember like in Katip, right? Like we previously have like the diagram where we show they have different controllers for experiment, suggestion, trials, and the metrics collector, all these things. I think for training operator, we need the same thing, at least to show that, for example, training operator is responsible to schedule the workers, right? And attach the appropriate configurations for them. Yeah, so I agree. So I think this is more high level, but more like kind of like because the problem is you need to understand all these different distributed strategies like FSDP or DDP, right? So PyTorch has its own kind of like diagrams how that works, and like training operator doesn't replace it. Training operator just responsible to start the appropriate workers for PyTorch or for MPI, right? Um, yeah, but I think architecture makes sense, and I remember for MPI, for example, if I go to Kubeflow. Yeah, I think it's this side. MPI. So because MPI has a slightly different architecture. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's here. Yeah, elastic training with MPI. Yeah, it has slightly different kind of like a diagram how we submit jobs within API. So I guess they're using config mapper and they're using kubectl exec. But it makes sense to transfer them to the Kubeflow. So from your perspective, should we use the one place for all this, like the Kubeflow org website, or you think it's easier to find it on the GitHub repos?
I personally feel like the GitHub repos are easier to find. But yeah, it's my opinion.
All right.
Sorry guys to jump in. Yeah, I'm just thinking because again, it's always very hard for users, and I say this from like experience from users from outside as well, right? I mean, the spectrum of experience is very wide, right? So some people actually understand some of these APIs, they see the diagram just makes sense. So finding some way to kind of capture these multiple levels would be good. So what I'm trying to say is that I think the architecture diagram makes sense, Andre, in team, but having good pointers for where to find the detailed way to submit things in the GitHub would be nice, right? So maybe like 2 levels. It's like the big picture, how you get the pointers. I don't know how exactly we do that, but yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah, because today, I mean, the thing is like we need to like unify this experience, right? Because we have some docs on the kubeflow.org, right? Like if we go to kubeflow.org, right, we have some docs here, which you know, like people have to read to understand what is like TF job, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we have a lot of kind of like docs also in the GitHub repo. So I guess like unification makes sense because like if you want to like learn Kubernetes, right, you will always go to kubernetes.io, right? You don't go to GitHub, right? Um, and we can always like, you know, have a links on the README if you want to like learn more about the contributor guides. You need to, you know, jump to the Kubeflow.org. Kubeflow.org can have a links to the specific part of the repo. Yeah. So when you say it's like, yeah, go ahead.
No, I think exactly what you described was what I was trying to propose. But it's still there are multiple levels, so it can get tricky. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Probably,
even if you talk about just linking to docs, like we have everything on the Kubeflow like docs website, right? And we just link to that from the README, that's also fine, right? Like detailed architecture can be found and so, right? That's also fine. But right now it's kind of a very, well, yeah.
I understand. So basically, you say, Anish, like if we have a links, like for example, for contributing guide, like right, if like you just scroll down the README, if you go to contributing, right, and if yeah, what we call development, right? Development, right? So if you just if this actually go like redirected to the kubeflow.org with all the required, you know, steps, that would be fine for you, right? Because
Yeah, fine for me.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Andrea. Yeah, you want to say something?
no, I was just agreeing with that. That probably one thing, one option would be to try to take the journey of like instead of starting halfway through in this repo, let's take a step back and think of a journey. I'm a new person that just learned about Kubeflow. What would I do? And then probably from there we could define also easier on what should stay where, how do
Yeah.
we link or cross-link things.
I guess the the bigger problem is like, you know, Kubeflow is a big project, right? And every component has its own kind of sub-component, as I mentioned, right? Because like imagine like Kdiv has literally all of the aspect of software you need to like you can basically contribute to anything, right? As I said, like if you're front-end engineer, you go into UI. If you're back-end engineer, you can work on controllers. And if you're data scientist, you can work on algorithms. So the problem is how to granular all these things from the Kubeflow level, right? When you just come to the project, I guess like if you just try to understand what is Kubeflow, right? First of all, you just go to getting started, right? Introduction, right? We recently have this kind of picture. But Andrea, do you have any ideas how to guide people? Like, for example, if I want to like work on the serving part of aspect, I will go to kserve, right? If I want to work on training, I'm going to training operator. So do you know, like, Andrea, how we can guide people to the specific like sub components under the bigger picture?
I would probably going back to Kubeflow, to the Kubeflow website. I would have almost like a, for example, a table. Well, I list the component, what it does, and how it could contribute. Like, I don't know, if you're passionate about model serving, or if you have experience in blah, 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 then maybe that's your place. Because also one thing that I think it's very intimidating, exactly because of the size of Kubeflow, is that you don't know how much experience you need in order to be able to contribute. Do I need to be a staff engineer to be able to contribute, or just and I'm tinkering around? And I think that's also something we could try to capture somewhere.
You go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, so maybe one way to visualize this, right? What if you don't, we show like the actual workflow, right? So say if you're here for pre-processing data, right? These are the relevant components. If you're here for distributed training, the entry point train operator, maybe like different personas, right? If you're here for serving, but showing like from the use case perspective, because again, there's some people coming here that they probably want to do more than one of these tabs. Maybe we're here just for distributed training. So it helps kind of to just position yourself in this very common workflow these days, right? Some visualization of like what it takes, right? What is the life cycle for some of these workflows and how you can use the components. Something like what you're showing a little bit, yeah, something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is we need to update this doc definitely, and I think we need to add something from what you said, Carlos, like because this was created like by Google several years ago, like that's MLOps is the complicated life cycle, and on every step you kind of like have a different microservice, right? And if you want to be specific to this part, you probably need to go to the specific component, right? Yeah, so this is more architecture, right? Yeah, so I think I think you have a picture when every stage of ML lifecycle addressing by specific components, right? Like, for example, like data preparation, right? Go to Spark operator. Spark operator will like finally we have this transfer, right? And model registry as well, right? Also, then the training part, right? Go to training operator. Then the KTIP, right? Like if you want to tune your model, you go to KTIP, right? Then you want to serve your model, you go to KServe, right? And if you want to stitch different microservices together, you just go into pipelines, right? Maybe you have already running like services for each part of this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, I think like we need to update this definitely, and I think Matthew he's invested so much energy to try to update this doc, to have like more stack diagram and also from the contributor side of things. And so I just like from the contributor perspective, like usually do you try to read this kind of like what is Kubeflow, what is different part of how I just like maybe how did you come out to training operator first? Maybe it's a question to you, Shashank, or to you, Anish.
So speaking to myself, right, like I just heard about it on some calls and I was like, okay, like what is this thing? And then I personally go look for the GitHub first, right? So I look for like GitHub training operator, like you for training operator, and then I started poking around the repository. After that, I went back and looked at the Kubeflow documentation because I was familiar with it for pipelines and all. I just never wound up looking at the training operator over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shashank, what about you? What about your experience? Maybe you also can share it. How you can get onboarded.
Yeah, so recently we were trying to use Kubeflow for a project, and that's how I came to know about this. And just going through the docs, I found the repo and just explored it.
I see. Did you find this doc kind of like hard to read or like can be improved from the new user experience perspective?
No, it wasn't that hard to read, but like while reading it, there were some parts that I thought can be enhanced or felt incomplete.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
I
good.
would say like, specifically for the training operator, it took me some time to understand like the actual value add for it. And the reason for that, from my perspective, was that I was already familiar with Kubernetes, not so much the training side of things. And I was like, oh, like this is easy. Why do you need an operator to do it? And just took me some time to wrap my head around, like, okay, like as a data scientist, someone who doesn't care about Kubernetes, how does this whole thing really add value? So like that's one thing I think we could probably improve in the training operator thing, is like really having more specifics around like the user stories that we're really trying to support. And yeah, I looked at this document. It's very full of like very data science specific stuff, and maybe that's fine if a data science scientist stumbles upon it, but you know,
Yes. Yeah, I think it's a good point. I remember previously we been have this issue like why. So why, I don't know if you have this here, why training operator. No, I don't think we don't have it here. So yeah, like the user stories is a great thing. Like what kind of like why it is important to have it, right? And yeah, and what is the reason to, use it rather than just, build operator by yourself, and maybe start it from the user stories. Yeah, I think why. So I think we have it for Katib previously. Yeah, explain why Katib and README. But I think we needed something similar in terms of the training operator, because like the main value of this, like if you don't want to write your custom operator, yes, you can use store checks. Like PyTorch has its own like, this kind of like job schedule on Kubernetes. But there is still like not a lot of, flexibility around like using different like, job scheduling, or maybe support different type of jobs, right? Like if you want to use, like maybe like you have a team of data scientists, some of them using TensorFlow, some of them using PyTorch, right? Like imagine if you want to have a one operator which is responsible to, like, spawn different type of jobs for your training of the models, right? So you want to have this flexibility, right? And you can go to TensorFlow community. I think TensorFlow might also have some tools around how you can start these jobs on Kubernetes. But if the answer is no, you have to build this by yourself, right? Um, and I guess
Yeah.
like the main point of this, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, so like I wound up on like some YouTube videos of like the Kubeflow community meetings, and that's like, oh, like that's when it finally really clicked for me, like why we care about it. But expecting people to like go end up on YouTube, right? Or like whatever is maybe a so, so yeah, I think like definitely I think we could improve here as well.
Yeah, I think after this kind of what is training operator, we need to explain why, and you maybe like we need to celebrate user stories or why it is important to use, right? What is useful, right? To have
Yeah,
all this.
and like that can
One
also
other thing,
go ahead.
Yeah, good.
one other thing that we could add is actually useful resources. So instead of expecting people to Google on YouTube things, we could list them at the end of it such that we give them handy. So if it's not clear what we offer, they have the resources right away.
Yeah. Yeah, so I tried to do it before. So in Katip, I tried to add this kind of like, presentations for the list all the presentations we did for the last like 6 years for the project. So I think we need to have this link to the contributing guide. So if you want to learn more, you can always like, and we try to ask people to update this list. Like, we try to make this list updated. I'm not sure if we have the same for training operator right now. Let me see, docs. No, I don't think we have it here. Yeah, I think we need the same kind of like list of all the videos that we have for training operator.
Since we're
Yeah.
almost running out of time, should we maybe pick one of these things and have it as an action point? No, I started looking like someone who works too much, maybe, but I think the user stories seem like the strongest needs. For me, that and like defining each persona, how could contribute are the things that could enable people to easily figure it out.
Yes, I think we definitely need to update the user stories, and I can let me create an issue for this. So I will create an issue to track this. Yeah, since the thing about like different kind of personas, it's a good point, but I think we need to do it after we. So I think we all agree if we're going to migrate all the docs to kubeflow.org, for all of you that would be fine, right? To just understand the project, just have one place where we can read everything. Basically, when you go to the contribute like training operator, you will see the contributing guide here, right? and then we can explain like what we discussed today in this doc. Like, you know, translate something from this page, right, from the development page, this one, yeah, development, from this guide to the kubeflow.org, and then just improve it based on like your problems that you have, Shashank, right, with installing this operator. And we will also address these issues. And for the personas, I think so Andre, I think we need to do it after we updating these guides, to be honest, because this architecture diagram very outdated, and we need to raise up this question to the because I want to understand like how we can like, should we start from our side with the personas for training operator and Katib, or we should start with the old Kubeflow project, right? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know you need to drop. It's okay. So let's maybe follow up offline on this, and also like we need to find someone who can, like, you know, volunteer on different things. Like Kubeflow offers hours, right? We don't have office hours right now, so maybe someone could help us with this as well. All right. Yeah, we're almost over time. Any other like final thoughts from your side? Anyone will let us know how we could help you. All right, that should be fine. Okay, thank you so much everyone for your time then. And I hope to see you soon. I will create the pool for all of the folks who are interested to attending these calls to see like if we can like move the time, and then we can follow up on the next call. So thank you for your time and for your feedback. I appreciate it. See you soon on the next call. See you around. Thank you.